Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Bootcast podcast. My name's Justin, and I'm with my co-host Colby. Colby, man, how you doing?
I'm doing good today, man. I'm doing good.
How was your weekend, man? It's okay. Just for heads up for everybody, we recorded in episode 6, and it has just been lost to the ether. And me and Colby haven't
Yeah,
figured out how to get it back yet.
yeah.
We experienced our first technical difficulty by episode 6, so we're gonna kind of talk about some of those same topics and semi re-record, but we're gonna talk about other things. So this, even though it's episode 7 for us, and we may reference it, this is technically episode 6 for y'all. So just so y'all know.
Yeah.
But anyways, man, how was your week? You been gone?
I have been gone, dude. I've been in Austin. I had a wedding weekend. Had to prepare a speech, best man speech. It
Very
went off
nice.
pretty good, I'd say.
Very
So
nice. Tell any embarrassing
um,
stories?
yeah. I told some embarrassing stories. It was my brother actually. So
Oh, nice. Congrats.
yeah, dude.
That's
Yeah,
huge.
it was good. It was a good wedding. It was fun.
Very good. That's what I
Yeah,
like to hear. All right. So today, I think we need to talk about some of the boots that have literally come out today. The
yeah.
Nike Mad Ready Pack. I have in hand. I'm gonna give you guys a small teaser if you can see, but I haven't. Oh, let me turn the light off so we can
That's
see a
so
little better.
shiny.
Dude, they're so bright. Let me see if I can even turn off this light for another second. Yeah, it's so bright. I have the unreleased whiteout Predator
Gorgeous.
Elite with a
Gorgeous.
regular youth throw. Dude, we'll talk about these. They're phenomenal. We also want to talk about, you know what I want to talk about too today?
Sure.
Why Nike specifically does not make elite models in turf and indoor anymore. That's where we should start. I feel like we need to start that.
That's where we should start.
You know? So why do you think it is? Because they've done it off and on. They're very ebb and flow with when they want to come out. Like sometimes it may just be one specific silo gets one turf and indoor,
Yeah.
and then that's it for that whole, like, all the generations. And then other times, like, every colorway, like bam, 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 bam. So why do you think that we'll say Nike specifically, doesn't do an elite level?
That's a great question, dude, because they used to have some excellent turf models. But the last maybe 4 generations have been, I think to a certain point, right? A lot of their elite models kind of rely on things that do cost a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, obviously, the biggest selling point of the Mercurial is, of course, what's the little compact air zoom technology?
Yeah.
Okay, so you can't really replicate that on a turf. So how can you that's one thing, right? If you look at something like a Tiempo, no problem. You can kind of put like something similar to that skin on there, put the pro name on it, you're good to go. Back when you're doing like K leather boots, you're doing quad fit. You can't put quad fit in a turf. That's going to cost you a crap ton of money.
I mean, does it though? I mean, the things that you're saying, do they cost a lot of money? Because the technology is already there. Like, what is the difference with quad fit? You love quad fit. You rant and rave about quad fit.
Yeah.
What is the difference of putting in quad fit with a plastic sole plate versus quad fit with a rubber sole plate?
You make a very good point, sir. You make a very
You know what
good
I'm saying?
point. Yeah, that is a good point. I'm not going to let Nike off the hook. You're right.
I was going to say, like, I feel like you're giving them a pass, and I'm trying to figure out why.
I don't know.
Because, like, the Air Zoom, I mean, you said the Air Zoom on the Mercs. I'm not trying to call you out, but I have to call you out. That exists in basketball shoes. That tech is not, it's a Nike only tech, but it's not a soccer/football specific tech. Right. So they can put it in running shoes. If they can put it in running shoes, like, what is the difference? Is it because it's so thin? The rubber is so thin?
Are they thin? I mean, like, that's not that thin. You could probably put something in there.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I won't give them a pass. You're right. But this is actually an example of a good turf model right here. Mm-hmm. 3. I think I brought this on the channel before, but like you have like the nice little K leather there. One of the last like K leather turfs. But yeah, nothing. They don't do anything like this. Is a very like kind of 1-to-1 upper.
Yeah.
For the bottom, they don't do it with any other model.
Yeah. See, and that's what I'm saying. It's really weird because like for a while, I remember the Vapor 13 Superfly 7s. They had like a 1-to-1 upper. It was the same exact thing, just different sole plate. And the same thing like Superfly 4. I remember the Superfly 4 is kind of what they brought it back, and they renamed it the Elastico model. But it was literally a Superfly 4. The polyurethane covering over the Flynet it had less, but everything was the exact same. And I just, again, like Superfly 4, they had top level, Superfly 5, they had top level 6, 7. And then once it came to like the Vapor 14, Superfly 8, I think that's where they stopped it again. And I think it went only to the pro models. And now the currents, you can only get a pro. And they have their own weird colorways too.
Back to like why?
Yeah, but like why Nike? They're like aren't they like the biggest brand technically, them or Adidas, like worldwide?
Kind of funny is like I see a lot of if I had to pick, right? So I play in an over 30s league for indoor. A lot of those guys will wear like the classic like Mundial turf, I don't even know what they're called, but Adidas boots. A lot of the younger guys are going to be wearing like the Mercs. That's all I see.
Yeah.
Like Mercs, and it's the pro model, the favorite pro model. So I don't know. I think that they could convince a lot of those kids to pay. I mean, because a lot of people play indoor year round. It's not just a winter thing.
Yeah, no, yeah, especially in Texas, we have indoor arenas probably more accessible than we do outdoor field or quality outdoor.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, in my men's outdoor league, this is similar but different. But yeah, especially older Copa models and Mercurials. And my men's over 30. That's what everybody plays, and that's what everybody wears. So it's just very weird to me that Adidas still sees the allure of it, because again, like here's a prime example. So I have the Freaks and the Precision Point ones, and these are the exact same uppers as the outdoors. The only difference is the rubber outsole. So again, I don't understand why Adidas can make it. And then I think you just got a new Puma Future Ultimate
I bought them
model today.
Yeah, they were on sale. It's not the 7s, but the Puma Future Ultimates, and I believe that should be a very similar upper. I've had the 1.4s, and that was pretty dang close.
Yeah.
But those are a little too narrow, so I sold them. But Puma's pretty good about it too. And Puma's prices on their top model, which is like the Pro Cage turf, those are pretty good prices compared to everybody else as well. Because I know Adidas, the new Predator model is running about 140. So for the Hybrid Touch 2.0.
Yeah. So see, and that's what I'm saying. And I don't know if the Elite turf, I'm hoping it's the same. But again, a weird thing to me with Adidas, like in that, is why don't they put the tongue on the turf models? Or why don't they make a turf tongue model?
Would they have to do a
They would just do Velcro.
Velcro? That's what I was going to say.
Because that's what the Copa Gloro does that. The Gloro has the strap on the outside, and then on the turf has a Velcro. So I just, again, maybe they just want to keep the tongue as like a limited outdoor only thing, but it just seems very odd to me.
Yeah, no, I agree. Adidas seems to be like it's like the most one-to-one you can buy. And then they have models like outside of their silos, which is a good point. You just brought up the Gloro. And then if you want to go classic, you have the Mundial. So
yeah, dude, you can still wear Sambas.
Yeah, you can wear Sambas if you want.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I mean, not my personal choice, but you could.
No, you could.
But yeah, it just seems like that's such an interesting market that Nike kind of almost ignores.
Yeah, they do. They ignore it. And what's weird though about them ignoring the turf market is they don't necessarily ignore the like flat surface, like the indoor market, like the kind of court style futsal.
Yes,
they've got the street gatos, and they've got the lunar gatos.
And they have what is the one that Halt's Boots loves?
Little circles on the bottom.
It's React Gato, Lunar Gato, and Street Gato. That's it. It's React Gato is the one that's like vaporish. Street Gato is the one that Halt's loves, and the Lunar Gato is the one with the leather that they brought back from back in the day.
Yeah, and honestly, if you slap the turf bottom on any of those, they would be fantastic indoor.
Oh yeah. Like, do you remember when Nike used to do like its 3 silos for turf, indoor, and street? They had the Lunar Gato for street, the Elastico for indoor, and then the Bomba. Do you remember the Bomba?
The Bomba, little spiky, like on
it was like half turf, half AG.
Yeah,
it was such an ugly boot, like the world's ugliest silo. And I think
they ended up at the Rosses in the
of the world. They're on eBay, like brand new pair, like $8.
Yeah,
which is crazy, but it was a great boot. Like my cousin to this day swears by them. He's like, if you ever find me a pair, I will pay whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, I just think it's very interesting that they just especially in the turf market, man, the turf one. Because like I try to play indoor with flats, and you go flying.
Yeah. Oh no, for real. And you don't want to risk like a hard cut or something, like especially if you're sprinting, like it's, I don't know, like when you stop, it's borderline dangerous.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's a great point, dude. The closest thing I'll say, like if you want a good flat playing turf, is a street gatto, because on the bottom of those they have like these little like nice little rubber elements. They're not super. There's not a lot of depth to them, but it will give you something.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't really honestly worn indoors or turfs in a
Oh, they're
while.
fantastic, dude.
I
They're
started playing
fantastic.
outdoor again, and I feel it's way better on my knees.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's interesting too. So like where I live, especially with indoor, we call them indoor facilities here, but they're the turf facilities.
Yeah.
Why they used to let us wear FG, and then they got rid of that. They said too many people were getting hurt, so they only want turf or flats. But I think it's because the FG was tearing up the turf.
Mm-hmm.
But why do you think that they won't allow people to wear AG plates? Do you think it's because AG is just not massively available yet?
It's not
in the
massively
US?
available, and I don't think that people really understand. So there's what you have like the old school kind of like thinner turf, and then you have like that like 3G turf, like that really good one. So I think that people aren't really understanding the difference between like when you go to like an older facility, you're gonna have the thin turf, and I think that their expectation is just like flats or like turf shoes. And so like as we get like more like nicer, like I have a facility near me that actually has like some of that nicer kind of like, is it 3G? Is that like the kind of more, they have more depth on it? It's like pretty close to grass.
So. I think it's like closer. I think the more higher number the G is, the newer it is, and like the more to grass it is.
Yeah, and so they'll actually allow like FG studs out there, kind of at your own risk, kind of a thing. So I think we're getting closer to where like these old kind of turf places will meet with AG once it starts to become more like, kind of more consistent across the board with the better artificial turfs. But yeah, turfs have always been to me kind of like a little bit clunkier. They're obviously heavy. It's really hard to make that rubber light. They're getting closer. Nike, and what's ironic is Nike's turf models are actually getting very, very light. Especially like the newer Tiempos, Tiempo 10s, Tiempo 9s are light. The Premiers are light. The Vapors are obviously light. Like they really have figured that market out. But I mean, come on, dude, give us a nice upper. Even the Pro model, like the GX2, like the GX.
Oh, dude, that's
not GX2, GX1 model on the turf, terrible.
Oh, dude, okay. We need to address that too, because like quality from the elite models to like, I guess everybody's calling them the Pro or the 0.2, so on and so forth. As you go down, the jump from like a Mercurial Vapor Elite to a Vapor Pro is noticeable, but you're like, this is still good.
Right,
like this is totally wearable. The Tiempo, everybody says that like I really couldn't tell difference. Like if you get either or, I couldn't tell. But the GX, that shit is like night and day.
Oh, it's terrible.
Like
it is
that
trash.
GX Pro is awful, dude. And there's no grip. The whole point of the GX was the grip knit, and on the Pro model, there's literally no grip knit.
Yeah. I don't understand. It's like Tiempo, Pro, you're good to go, and then GX is like, no, don't you? I don't understand that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think out of all the turf models on Nike side, I would say that the Tiempo is probably. I know we rag on that boot. It's not a bad boot. It's just not a Tiempo.
Yeah,
but I think that probably is the best bang for your buck and quality that you can get. Okay, so I was going to say, so today I just bought another new pair of boots. The collector in me really, really wanted these. But have you seen the new Nike Mad Ready pack?
Mad Ready, yes, sir.
Dude, there's too many Readies.
Kind of that lemonade.
There's Ready, then there was Peak Ready. Now we're Mad Ready. I don't
know, dude. They can't figure their stuff out, bro. Luna 2, GX2, but it's the high collar, and Mad Ready.
No,
Peak
we've already
Ready.
been over that. I still like that. I like the difference in name.
Oh, you do? Okay,
I do.
All right.
But I do want them to be different. So
yeah,
that goes against everything I just said. But yeah, so the Mad Ready pack. Now the GX is like primarily it's like it looks more white, like almost like an off-white, and then black with the gold accents. But the Tiempo and the Mercurial, they say they're bone, but they look almost like yellow to me.
Yeah,
Did
it's
you
kind of
get
like
that
a
vibe?
yellowy. No, yeah, I saw that. The Tiempo looks very good, actually. I like that colorway a lot.
Oh, I do not.
Um,
I do not like that
you
colorway.
don't like that colorway? You don't like the
No,
black
I think
swoosh?
like the GX is one, then the Mercurial is two, because the Mercurial has the flat black air
Mhm.
zoom, and that looks so sick to
Yeah,
me.
that does look good.
And then the Tiempo is like not. It's just Mercury like GX Mercurial. And then that's it.
Yeah. The GX obviously looks the best. Like
Oh yeah,
I
hands
bought
down.
that boot today as well.
Oh, very
So
nice.
eight on AG. So I'm
Oh, I
excited.
bought SG.
Yeah. Well, we can compare. We can
Yeah,
compare
dude,
notes,
that's
man.
be good. Compare notes
Yeah.
for sure. But what do you think about the pack? So besides the name, obviously the name's fucking stupid.
I like the pack.
Mm-hmm.
And this kind of goes back to where we knew it was coming because we
Mm-hmm.
saw
Mm-hmm.
the early release photos. So when they released that GX2 launch colorway,
Yeah, the
I'm not keeping that.
Vortex.
You know what I mean? Like, because I know it's coming behind it. Like, why would I? You know what I'm saying? And like the way that these boots release now, and if you, and obviously we all look at footy headlines, we all go on Instagram, we look at like Boots Club stuff like that. So we can get it pretty close on the dates.
Mm-hmm.
So I think now it's like if you don't like a colorway, you can pretty much find out when something good is going to come out. And with this Mad Ready pack, I think a lot of people have kind of had their eyes on these,
Mm-hmm.
especially the GX. Probably not as much as Tiempo, but like you said, the Mercurial. I think it's a pretty decent pack, dude.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I think it's definitely. I think it'll stick out in its own way, which is positive. But I just I struggle to rationalize how it is January 22nd, and I think Nike has two colorways are no three colorways. Oh, we didn't even talk about that before we move on. What do you think about Nike drop? I like the all black. I don't know if you've seen them, the all black Lunas and GX
Oh
too.
yeah, I did see that. I saw
Okay,
that.
so they call it the Shadow Pack or whatever. How do you feel about Nike bringing in two? We're gonna say two new boots, but then they also kind of regurgitated the Mercurial, the Mercurial and the Tiempo. So they still did like the silver to blue Mercurial and Tiempos, and they didn't change anything. And then
Mm-hmm.
they just introduced the GX2 Luna 2. Are you okay with that? Do you not care? Do you just like you should have just done it on its own?
Uh, I
Are you indifferent?
I'm indifferent. I
Okay.
mean, we live in this so we live in a weird market right now where I feel like we're constantly inundated. Like I feel like, and we'll talk about this in a second. But like, what is it called? The solar pack from is it Solar Ready? I feel like I want to add a ready to
I think it's
everything.
solar energy.
Solar Energy to Adidas.
Yes.
But then, like as you said, like the GX kind of came out with its own
Mm-hmm.
colorway. Well, Adidas kind of did that too with the Copa, where like this guy didn't get a like any part. Well, I guess it got released on its own,
Yeah,
right?
with the black ones.
And now we know that there's White Preds coming out on January 30th. That didn't come out with this, so that's not really consistent from them either. And then you have like the Solar Pact, which is going to be completely different than what's coming out in a couple weeks. So it's like I feel like I don't pay too much attention to it anymore because we're just constantly inundated with colorways. And if I try to wrap my head around this is coming as a set, this is individual set, and if it, rando, it's just all together. It's all stuff. So I feel like if I tried to rationalize it and put little like barriers around it, I'd just go nuts.
Do you think that brands are releasing too many colorways? We made fun of Puma at one point, but do you think that the other one, because it's January 22nd right now, okay? Adidas has officially released 3 colorways of the new Predator model.
Mm-hmm.
I've got 4 that's supposed to be coming out, which we'll talk about.
Yeah.
And I also saw the flat black ones while I was there. So they'll have 5 colorways by the end of the first month of 2023.
Mm-hmm.
The GX is already at what, 3? It'll be at 3 colorways. What other new boot has come out? Like the first GX had 9 colorways in the year that it was around. 9.
Yeah.
That's actually I think it had more than that.
Mm-hmm.
It might actually have 10 because I think I forgot the black the second black pack. But I worry. Part of me worries that these brands are doing almost too much too quickly.
I think you're right. I think it kind of sucks for like consumers that are a little bit late, like the people that aren't right there in the know. for everything coming out. Like if you miss a good colorway, like you're not going to get it because they're making them in such limited quantities because, okay, that's going to sell. We got to move on to the next one. That's going to sell.
Yeah.
Move on to the next one. And I'll notice because my size is a 9.5 US, that goes by quick.
Yes.
And if I don't jump on that, like within the week of release, maybe even like the first 4 days of release on certain sites, they're going to be gone.
Oh,
and
yeah.
That happened with the Peak Ready. Like I barely got those in time.
There's two, if like, I think you hit the nail on the head. You said that these boots are made, or these brands are making such limited quantities. And part of me wonders if people don't necessarily want more colorways. They just want more chance to be able to get the boot.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, okay, even though I think it's super lazy. Last year, Adidas, when they came out with the Copa Pure, the first gen of Copa Pure, and the Predator Accuracy, they did the black and pink colorways. They did the all black, the all white. Okay. And they also did it with the Speed Portal. But then later on, when the Crazy Fast model came out, they did an all white and all black for Crazy Fast.
Mm-hmm.
They re-released the all white Accuracy and the all white Copa Pure ones.
Mm-hmm.
So part of me wonders, like, do we want brands? I don't even know if we necessarily want them to re-release, but maybe have like sometimes if they notice a colorway sells out too quickly to have a second wave. Because I genuinely think I have 2 pairs of the Montebalunas, and I think that the second pair that I got was definitely a second wave because I got them from soccer.com. Like months
that was
after.
notorious for Tiempos. Because they had a lot of second waves of those. I think they still have second waves. Like if you and they might be phased out now, but the these are pro model, but like these are still coming out in like the second wave.
I see those all the time. Yeah.
So that's a good point, man. I kind of like that actually. I kind of wish they would do that more often, and it would just help a lot of consumers out that aren't early adopters. So yeah, that's a good idea.
Because I know that they, in a way, I think that they want to try to push like, I mean, I guess just Nike on this, like, what is it, Nike by You, the custom ones. But I mean, not everybody wants to spend the extra. How much extra does that cost? Do you know off the top of your head?
I don't know off the top of my head, but the trouble with those is for Nike IDs, like you have to have gotten like a pair of those boots already and know your fit. Because like if you just kind of go in blind and do it, and it comes in and doesn't fit right how you thought it was, you just ruin the entire boot.
Oh, exactly. And then the other issue that you run into is Nike by You even does only sometimes up to the pro model. They won't always do the elite. Like I know with the first generation Luna, they didn't even do the pro. They did whatever was below that. And that was the only one you can Nike by You.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing with the the GX, you could do the elite. But they'll also do that. Sometimes they'll do like either certain colors or certain things on an elite model are only available for so long, and then it gets phased out and that's it, no more. So it has to do something with their production, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, I find it really almost frustrating sometimes that because again, I think that overwhelming customers, especially with too many colors, is a bad thing. Like, I mean, we've talked about it. We've beat it over the head with the Puma, and we will still continue to beat over the head. But Puma is the worst about it.
Right. Yeah. Puma's very bad with it.
Yeah. I mean, what's the point of bringing out a new boot where literally in a month it's going to be discounted because it's already old?
Hey, I benefited off that today. So I was one of those people.
That's fair. Okay, so let's move on a little bit. We're gonna talk about this bad boy. All white. I mean, it's reflecting the light. And so I put a post up on Instagram. I don't know if you saw it while you were out of town and stuff, but I had a ton of questions about these. So before I move on or talk about anything, is there anything you have a question about?
I know we talked about the fit. Because like I said, with my little GX kind of GX2 first impressions, I was very pleased with the wide fit. Narrows of the toe, but overall, like I think that's a good comfy boot. With this boot in particular, since it's got the U-throat construction, you'd think you'd have a little bit more customization to your fit. But I think you said, like, as you've kind of, worn your like orangish red pair, that you've kind of noticed they're still a bit more maybe more on the narrow side.
Yeah, definitely. I think that knowing you and the conversations that we've had and how you like your boots to fit, I think that for you personally, it's too narrow of a boot. I think that, the midfoot has decent width. I don't want to be like, oh my gosh, this thing's like a vapor, but
Yeah.
it's pretty narrow. And then as it goes to the toe box, it gets even narrower. So if you don't really like a tight fitting boot, like in recent memory, I guess the GX1, it kind of reminds me of that fit.
Okay.
But the GX1, could kind of expand because of the Flyknit. Like this is your foot is going to move inside of the boot. The boot is not going to move at all. Yeah, the Predator is definitely one where I'm like, if you can find a pair to try on, please try them on before you buy them, because that's a boot it's a great boot. Don't get me wrong, it is a phenomenal boot and I love it, but it's very specific. And I don't think, even with as good and as soft as this Hybrid Touch 2.0 is, I just don't think it's going to stretch enough for a lot of people.
Yeah, which is kind of funny because that was like a big point of the accuracy, was kind of like the fit and how like, generous it was to wide-footed players. But that's really one of the only questions I kind of had, because I haven't actually put my foot in a pair. So
yeah, no. So it's cool. So a lot of people, the main question was, how'd you get them? Guys, I'll tell you the same thing I told everybody else on Instagram. I went to a local soccer shop. They had them out. They had them in every size because I don't even think they knew they were out yet, right? They're not technically supposed to be out. And sometimes with these shops, somebody makes a mistake and puts something out early. Sometimes somebody just doesn't care and is like, hey, let's be the first to have it. And so stuff like that happens. So I just happened to be there. They just happened to be out. And that's how I got them. There's also a flat black pair. Those also look super awesome. I've seen the tongue models of those too, dude. I don't know if you've seen the tongue model, but man.
Yeah. No,
I'm not a black boots guy. But yeah, the black on those is nice. But yeah, so the main thing that I want to tell everybody about it that's between these two is honestly, that's better lighting. Is the finish on the upper. So the orange ones, I told everybody kind of they're super matte, and like if you look at them like in person, they're really matte. And the texture to the upper, not the grip, but the upper, it's almost like it's like a microfiber. It feels like a microfiber, or like peachy, like a peach fuzz kind of feel. So it definitely has that. But then when I went to the white ones, I mean, they reflect light like super hardcore, and these definitely feel like a true old school synthetic. Like they're pearlescent, they're super dope, but looking at them and feeling them, like they're definitely, the best way I could describe to somebody the feeling is like, when you're barefoot and you're on like a tile floor and you try to like slide across, how like you kind of start to slide, but you just like straight up stop. That's 100% how these white ones feel. Like they feel like they're going to be slick, but I mean, they quickly grab your finger. So I don't think overall it's going to be too much of a difference, but it's just one of those ones where between the same boot, but between two different colorways, a lot of difference to them.
Yeah, that's a great description, dude.
Yeah, so yeah, that's it. There's nothing too crazy. I mean, we can go into long details. Again, I bought them for a friend, so these aren't even my size, so I can't tell you how the white ones even fit, because it's a 9.5, which is not my size. But one thing that I thought was super cool compared to the orange ones was the orange ones, like the stripes are all just one color, but on the white ones, it's super hard to see in this light. Ugh. But they start out white towards the bottom, and then they have like little thin silver lines, and then they kind of reverse as they go up. So it's like if two, like it's almost like they go like that. So it's super cool looking, just like a super small detail that I noticed on these. But yeah, so they're cool boots, definitely cool boots.
Let me ask you this, dude, because I do like that Adidas is doing this, and they, like we said, they did this with the release of the Accuracy, and they did it with the release of the original Copa Pure 1, where they just went up and they said, we're going to do whiteouts, we're going to do blackouts, maybe like some platinum elements like on that one. Is this something that like people should, or I guess other brands should take note of and start doing?
Yeah, I think so. I think, to me, like one of the smartest things a brand could do, and I know I complained about options earlier, but to me is to have a launch colorway, a whiteout launch colorway, and a blackout launch colorway. Because I know some people who absolutely adore blackouts, and that's their favorite kind of colorway, and that's all they want to wear.
Yeah.
I can't stand blackouts. I like, if I had to pick one, I would tend to lean more towards whiteouts. And then having just a different color for everybody else. You know what I mean? So I think that's the smartest thing that a brand can do. But again, I mean, we're just regular guys. I mean, we say
Yeah.
that, but again,
I mean,
I was just complaining about too many boots. So
I actually like that. I mean, I think that it shouldn't be like industry standard or anything like that. But
mhm,
I do like what Adidas is doing here, and ironically, by doing something as quote unquote plain as a whiteout or quote unquote plain as a blackout, they're actually standing out amongst all the other brands because
mhm,
they're really one of the only ones that does it. And I know that Nike will occasionally do it with some boots. I know on like I kind of talked about the Tiempo, like most of the launch Tiempo colorways have been like a white platinum
mhm.
type, and with this last one, it was the prototype, which was actually launched a little bit later. But I love those boots. I love those boots. Um, and so there is something there, and maybe Nike sees it as more like a rarity, kind of like limited edition opportunity, and Adidas is just like whatever,
Mhm.
just grab it within this window.
Yeah, I don't know. I think see, part of me thinks that the one of the main issues that I think Nike's run into, and I'm not saying that this is solely by them, but like as a Manchester United fan, whenever you hear stories and players will talk, when Alex Ferguson was at the club and you were an academy player, you weren't allowed to wear color at all. You had to
Mm,
wear blackout boots, right? So it's just all blackouts. That's all you could wear. And so to your point, I think that blackouts stick out. So I think that now that Adidas is the Manchester United kit supplier instead of Nike, I think that it's harder for Nike to almost push out those all black pack, like true blackout all black packs, because there's not really there's almost not a reason for that. There's no history for them to tell that
yeah,
story.
yeah,
They did I remember they did the shadow pack, the first shadow pack on the GX, and they put that weird gray grip knit, and then they did the orange accents, and then they did the second one, they did the blue to silver.
yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know why they do that, because when they had the Superfly 4, dude, I remember they did that flat black Superfly 4 with the gloss Nike swoosh on top, just the
Mm,
outline. Oh, those things were sick, and that's coming from somebody who doesn't like blackouts.
right, right. Yeah, I mean that's a good point. Yeah, I didn't really think about that. And the ironic thing too is like if you get like camouflage boots now, like
Mm-hmm.
but prior to releasing, like where players will test them, like they're doing whiteouts now too. Like Erling
Yeah, a
Haaland
lot
was
of them.
training in whiteout GX2s a couple months ago.
Yeah, and Aaron Ramsdale had the whiteout
He had
Predators
them,
for a couple months.
yeah, dude. He had them like back in October.
Yeah, so I mean, it's cool. Okay, here's a sign. Do you wish that brands would do like a true camouflage boots like they used to? Like I think the Tiempo had it,
Oh, the
and it
eights, yeah,
was like the 3D one, and then
that was
Adidas,
cool.
or
You
not
can buy
Adidas,
those.
um Puma. Puma used to do the weird camo where it'd be like literal camo on
Hmm.
their boots. Do you wish more brands would do that? Like, or that's how they would hide their boots?
I think it definitely hid the boot way more because nobody knew what that Tempo 8 was going to look like. People
Yeah,
were
exactly.
speculating and speculating. Um, and I almost wonder now if they're just like, yeah, whatever, like we'll black them out, white them out. And then I think it builds hype
Hmm.
because with those Predators, dude, like I'm glad they didn't camo those out because the hype that was built around those for months and months was just outrageous because we were like, is it going to be like a tongue? Is it going to be a removable tongue like the Premiere? Like, what are you going to be able to do with it? And then it just kind of peaked whenever, like we said, like Trent and Jude had them,
Hmm.
and now we're still talking about them. It's
Oh
January.
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Do you think that Adidas should have done the tongue model as like the Premier did, where it has the elastic strap tongue, and if you just wanted to cut it off and have a normal tongue? Do you think they should have did that,
I
or do
yeah
you think going three
yes.
tongue or three
That's a great
tongues?
dude. That's a great question. It's like one of the best like things I hadn't really thought of yet. Yes, I think they should have done that.
Hmm.
And I think it would have gotten a lot of people to actually try it because you're like with
Hmm.
the Premiere, I'll try it with the tongue before I cut it off.
Hmm.
That's a good. Hang on one second. Yeah. So like with these, I gave them a game or two
Hmm.
before I actually did it because I wanted to see how it was. But yeah, it doesn't look like aesthetically as good because like with my line, like the way I cut it, like you can kind of still see like there's a little
Yeah,
bit of like white
but I
dots
mean,
right
like
here.
honestly, like who's paying that much attention to the
No,
tongue line?
no one, like no one
Yeah.
that I play with anyway. But there is, I mean, it is, and honestly, like there's still a little bit of jank, like with the like little Velcro
Yeah,
strip right there. Like I'm
yeah.
not using it for anything, but
But yeah, but like that's what
the
I'm saying.
Pred's
Like with
cleaner.
with
because you have the
with the
strap.
Pred for sure, you know, it's got the elastic strap. So I just feel
Yeah.
like, honestly, I feel like they would have sold more because I feel like with the regular U-throat tongue, I'm just gonna refer to it as just a regular tongue.
Yeah.
But I feel like those are still widely available.
Yeah.
Like the soccer.com has them in just about every size. Proto-Rec still has them in every size. So part of me wonders if they just did more models of the FT and you could just cut it off.
Yeah.
If they would probably actually sell out more, even more so than they already do.
Probably that's a good point. And you know what's kind of funny with this generation is I feel like the laceless model is really the odd man out, just because it doesn't look
Mhm.
like either one. It looks like it's almost like its own separate thing,
Mhm.
and I really mean like because it just aesthetically does not look the same. Really, I don't know how the knit can make it look so different, but
Yeah, and I don't know what it is about the Laceless Predator because, like, the 18 I was super intrigued by, the 19, the Mutator, the Freak,
the
and the
edge.
Edge.
Yep.
Oh, dude, the Edge. But I love all those laceless models. And I was like, I really bought into like, I want a laceless, I want a
Yeah.
laceless. And then I
Yeah.
tried the accuracy, and the accuracy was just way too big for my foot. Like
Yeah.
it felt way too
And
massive on my foot.
Preds, not to cut you off, but Preds used to be like the standard for laceless. If you didn't have laces, that was kind of before Tequila, got a lot of hype. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, go back to your point. Sorry about that.
No, you're totally fine. But yeah, it's just like since with the accuracy and now with the what is this one called? The 24, the 30, whatever.
Yeah,
I
24,
don't
30,
even
yeah.
know. Whatever year it is. Yeah, I'm not even remotely intrigued to try the laceless. That's how
Same.
little I care about it.
Yeah.
Like the regular tongue, I'm like, yeah, I tried. I liked it on my old instincts. Like, yeah, I don't mind that. But the laceless on that one, I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, and I know we get back to this topic a lot, but I wonder if laceless is starting to go away. I mean, because on the Copas, like the Copa Pluses, they took it away. On the top end model of the X Crazy Fast, they took it away. I mean, there still
Mm-hmm.
is a laceless model for the like Adidas Elites,
Mm-hmm.
Crazy Fast, but it's not kind of that like top tier anymore. I wonder if they're getting more feedback on like sales and players and whatever it is, but it almost seems like an afterthought now.
Yeah. Oh, it definitely seems like an afterthought instead of like that's the model and then they kind of change everything.
Yeah.
But part of me wonders, and this is a question I'll present to you. Do you think that laceless is at the point in its lifespan where the tongue used to be? Where like every boot had the tongue and everybody loved the tongue, and then the tongue
Mhm.
kind of gradually just kind of phased out. Do you think that's what's going to happen with
Yeah,
laceless?
yeah, and the things that they would say to try to get you to go laceless, like I remember with the Copa 2019 and 20,
Mm-hmm.
it was like, oh well, you can have this burrito tongue, which I hated the burrito tongue, but you can have this, or you can take that away, and the whole surface. And this was when they added a lot more kangaroo leather too, because
Mm-hmm.
they did I think the kangaroo leather went higher, but it's like when you touch that ball out of the air, man, it's just pure touch. It's pure touch, and the laces don't get in the way, and da da da. And so like there was kind of like that like almost psychological selling element to it where it's like, oh, maybe I do need to try a
Mm-hmm.
laceless. And then like the folks like me who really like their lockdown would try laceless and be like, absolutely not. Like
Yeah.
that's my foot is moving around
I would say
way
that's a
too
killer for
much.
you.
Yeah, my heel is slipping way too much. Like, and in the way they kind of have to combat that is making it very tight. On the tequila, the way they combat that is making this is why you have to buy a tequila in a half size bigger, by the way, is because they came out originally in like the laceless model. And so in order to kind of combat that lockdown, you had to have that end right at your toe. So all these little tricks and things that people just ended up not liking, like you said, I think it is a trend. I think we kind of tried it. Everyone's kind of like, and now we're off of it again.
I mean, it definitely lasted too way longer than I thought it was gonna.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I first saw the Ace 16 in that first laceless boot, and I
Mm-hmm.
remember it was in that green color. I was like, oh, whoa, like those look revolutionary. And then by the time the 17 came out, I was like, oh, this is done. Like
Yeah.
they tried it. Like, yeah, this one doesn't feel that good. But the interesting thing to me is with the laceless model, the biggest selling point is like you said, they always say, oh, it's a clean striking
Mm-hmm.
surface. Like there's no laces to get in the way. There's nothing
Yeah.
in the way, just you and the ball. But then on this FT model with the fold over tongue, That's the same marketing they use. They say, "Oh, with the tongue covering the laces, it's a clean striking." So it's like, well, which one is it? Like, is more material the clean striking surface, or is essentially less material the clean striking?
I think it's just pure marketing, man. Ghost
sure.
lacing, half ghost lacing, tongue, no like it's just, to me, like, laces have never bothered me, like, ever. Like, as a player, like, like, literally as a little kid till now, it doesn't matter. And honestly, to me, the less bulk and the more lockdown is great. Like, I like a deep lacing system. I like it central. Like, it just seems like that's where you get the most security. I don't know if it's because we're in, it's like, this is a really stupid thing to say, but like, we're all wearing shoes, and like, how are our shoes? Oh, like central lacing. Okay, like, this is how I adjust. You know what I mean? And so, like, why would I go from like doing exactly what I do with my shoes to get throughout my day? And I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's just my thought. But yeah, I think laceless, to your point, like, I think it is a trend. I think that, like, we're getting away from. I think we're getting away from that. And Adidas was very smart with their marketing on those boots. Instead of putting it kind of in the background, they're like, no, this is the top tier model. We're going to put a little plus on it, and it's just going to stay right here at this top tier price point. So they really did a good job on their marketing with those to get people to
for
buy
sure.
them.
I think the marketing was smart, and I think that the players that they were able to build that marketing around, it was genius. Like, I remember for the Ace and then the early Predators, it was Mesut Ozil and then Pogba.
Yeah.
But even it got to the point where Pogba didn't even wear the laceless. He was a big laceless guy, but then on the Freaks is when he switched to laces.
Yeah.
He's either Freak or the Mutator, because they flew off in a game and he got in trouble.
Oh,
and so
really?
after that he never wore laceless again. He always wore laced Preds.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's like anything else. Like, I think it's like the same thing, like with these power boots and these T90s and having that shot package with the tongue, with crazy, insanely super light boots. Like, I just think that the laceless thing has kind of run its course. And I just think that people are like, I think people are indifferent to it. Like, if you're a laceless person, I think if you were a laceless person and you've always been a laceless person, I think you'll probably still continue with it. But then I think even by the time you get your boots, like when that fad dies, I don't think that you tying your laces is, you're gonna be, oh god, dude, what is this? You know what I mean?
I forgot how to tie my laces.
Like, oh, I do it on all my other shoes, but not these.
What's funny is, like, I feel like there's some brands like Puma who are kind of sitting on the fence with this, where they're like, we're gonna make this future ultimate. You could take the laces off, and hey, look, we put this power tape on the top where it goes right over where your laces would go. So we're actually gonna add like less lace holes and make this that drives me more nuts than anything. Is like when you take out lace holes and really spread it out, and they've done that on some Puma models. They did it on some of the Copas, like well, especially the turf models, where you kind of really get, you don't get enough. And it's almost like, dude, if I had like a hole puncher, I would punch more lace holes, and I'd punch them closer to the back to get like that tightness around my ankle. But
it's so funny how different we are, because like, I don't even use the last lace holes on my Preds.
Yeah, you're nuts.
Like, I don't like my foot being suffocated. And when you describe how you want your boots to fit, I feel like your feet are literally like in a coffin.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that sounds...
They're in a coffin for 90 minutes and then you can come back out.
It sounds awful. Absolutely awful.
Yeah.
I would freak out. Okay, so we talked on the missing episode about a lot of failed boot tech and boot tech that worked, and I don't want to get too much into that. But I have a boot on its way. I got the Adidas X Crazy Fast Strung Plus.
Yeah.
That's a mouthful. So that's the boot that's made out of all the strings, right? Okay. So we talked before about concept boots like the 99 gram leather Addy Zero, the Mercurial SL, the one that was all carbon fiber. Do you think that Strung Plus model is a gimmick? Do you think like a true gimmick, like it's just dumb? Do you think it's a boot strictly for like collecting? It's like, hey, look at what we can do. Like, we're not there yet, but look at what we could do. Or do you think that it's a viable like technology where you're like, yeah, that's something I would want to invest
in? Okay, that's a good question. I want to say, like, why are we as like boot collectors, enthusiasts, whatever, we're so willing to pay like a lot of money for a boot that is most likely not going to be super durable.
Mm-hmm.
And like I did this with the Montablunas, and I wore the heck out of those, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't take that long. And I'm assuming the same thing would probably happen with these boots. I mean, I don't know for sure. Like you can kind of tell us your experience with them.
If I wear
But
them.
yeah, if you wear them. But it kind of gets down to like, just because you can, like, should you? And as a consumer like us, like we're gonna try everything. So like it really at the end of the day doesn't matter. But for a kid going through like an entire season or 2 seasons of soccer, like that's not the boot they should probably pick. Like you should
No.
probably go with something that's going to be more durable, so your parents aren't like, we just bought you these and they broke 2-3 matches in.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, to your point, like I think it's a good idea. I think it's a good idea to get them in the hands of people and kind of get that feedback on like, okay, did this work? Did they fall apart in 2 matches? Is it something that we should pursue with like a reinforced structure or reinforced upper? Like that, so it's kind of, I feel like for something like that boot, when you already have like the X crazy fast, top tier boots that are, so thin, it's a good idea in theory. I guess my biggest holdup with it is just durability, but for our purposes, not a big deal.
Yeah, to me, I think it's one of those boots where, again, it's like the old original 99 grams. Like, obviously, just because you can do something with boots doesn't necessarily mean you should, in the sense of mass producing them. Like, I think it's okay to have just concept boots and like, hey, like we can make the lightest boot possible. But I think it's kind of like, it's just one of those boots that, in all honesty, probably more so for the collection.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you get a good deal on a cool limited boot like that, you're like, yeah, whatever. Like I'll pick them up. They look cool if nothing else. But yeah, I mean, it just made me think about it because we talked about it before, but I feel like not only are laceless boots dying out, but I feel like insanely light boots are dying out.
Yeah.
And it's like boots like the Crazy Fast Plus, just they're just too light. They're not gonna lie. I mean, if you get the right kind of stud on that, I feel like they're gonna rip. I haven't used them yet. I think you may have tried them, or we have friends that have tried them, but they just don't feel like it for me. And then there was that Puma model. I think it was the Evo Speed SL and SLS. Remember they used to come with that sticker that was like, these may last 10 games.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny that you're kind of saying that. Is like with Puma, they almost had that like 2 or 3 Ultra generations ago. They had like a sub 7 ounce, maybe in like the 5 ounce range, and those weren't ripping as much. But go ahead and you go back to your point.
No. So I was just gonna say, I just feel like laceless boots are kind of dying off. I feel like the insanely ultralight boots are also kind of dying off. Like I just don't think A, people want to spend money for something that's not gonna last, but B, I just feel like boots are all kind of hovering around in the same.
Yeah, they're all boots
range
right now are around like this. If you're around like the 7 ounce to like 7.5 ounce range, or let's open up 7 to 8 ounces, which is where most boots are hitting with like kind of that modern day like sole plate. It's like you're really not going to notice much of a difference. Like the biggest differences I would notice is like in like something like a Copa. I can't remember if it's the Copa Sense. And you put that next to like a Tiempo Legend, like 7 or 8, and it was just like a freaking, it was just like 9 ounces versus like 7 ounces is big, but 7 to 8.
I mean, yeah, and I mean, like even 9 ounces, like I'm sure it does feel heavier, but I don't feel like that's unmanageable.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like the Predator Instinct back in 2014 when that came out, that was like 9.6 ounces. Or if you brought a boot, I feel like if you brought a boot out right now, people would be like, what that is an absolute tank. Like I am not wearing that. But then you go back to like, my T90 Laser 3 days or Laser 2 days. Those things, you want to talk about tanks, those are tanks.
Right.
And those are some beefy boots. So I just feel like, that's kind of where we're like, even though the new Predator is, it's not a speed boot by any means. But if that boot came out back in 2011, 2012 at this weight, people have been like, oh my God.
Right.
Look at what they've accomplished.
Yeah.
So it's just really interesting to see like we've talked about, things come and go, fads come in. Though I'm sure speed boots will become popular again. But it is really interesting that I just wanted to get your take on if you think that.
Yeah, I think you're right. That's a good take because and I don't know what category this is, but control boots are coming down to the weight of speed boots from like 2 generations ago or so, and people are, I think, gravitating more to those because it's like, hey, this is kind of mercurial weight, but it actually fits my fat foot, so I'm gonna wear this. That's actually kind of my take on not complete take because obviously you've got this like amazing grip knit technology, but with the GX2, like light boot, well fitting, very comfy. It checks all the boxes. Good lockdown. You don't have to really strap yourself into like a Merc or an Ultra or an X boot anymore to kind of get that same kind of speed boot-esque feeling.
Yeah, it's just crazy. I mean, it's crazy to see. I mean, that's what innovation is. And so again, that's kind of where the whole string, where I brought the strung pair up, is because I wonder if like literal strings are going to be like their version of like a lighter material, but it's also more, I guess, in a way reinforced to them, or they can reinforce it differently to not only for lockdown but for durability purposes. So that's just a curious thought that I had, like kind of off the top of my head, just kind of see where you floated with the whole speed boot and laceless boot thing.
Yeah, I think you're right though. Like I think you're really onto something with the how light like modern boots are getting. And you know what's kind of funny to me is this was maybe 2022, right? That Tequila V4 Pro laceless model came out. That sucker was light, dude.
Oh
That was
yeah.
like 7. It had to be around like 7 ounces or just below. That was a very light boot for that type of model. And it's just incredible because it doesn't look like it'd be that light, but like with the, kind of like thicker looking conical studs and like the lacrosse plate.
Yeah.
But that was, I feel like, the start of where control style boots got to be, I don't know. Like it was like, oh, you can do this.
Yeah, no, I'm actually excited. I just ordered a pair, and they should hopefully be here within a week or two.
You're gonna like those, dude.
Of the low cut V4s.
Yeah.
But I didn't get the new one, the pluses. But I'm really excited to try those. You've spoken very highly about them, so you kind of convinced me.
You're going to like them. The sole plate, I will say, like is a little bit flexible, but so is GX.
So the
dude.
GX.
Yeah,
I've got a couple pairs of those.
Yeah, but such a good boot.
Yeah, no, I'm excited for that. Let's see, what else is there anything else that you wanted to get on a topic about? If I feel rusty, we took a whole week off, and now I feel like
I know,
oh,
yeah,
man,
I blew it, dude.
I'm forgetting something.
No, I think that's pretty good for this episode. As more, I mean, of course, as like more information comes out on what's coming out in the year of 2024, I know we're looking at the possibility of some new mercurial information coming out soon. So we'll be talking about that.
Yes. I saw the leaks. Did you see the leaks as well?
I saw leaks. Looks like they're sticking with.
Yeah, there's something on that leak. Let's just talk. Let's get into it real quick. What do you like so far from what you've seen in that leak?
Looks like they're still using
one specific thing.
Air Zoom technology, right? Looks like that's still going to be like a major part of that boot.
I'm looking at the leak right now.
The
one thing I like is I like how they changed the graphic where it says air along the heel, so it goes around the back of the heel. I think that just looks honestly way less tacky, because this generation of mercurial with the big word air on either side or everything, it just looks horrible to me. It looks super tacky. But the thing I'm super excited about is on the leak picture that I have, that sole plate reminds me of the 2015 Addy Zero. And I told you on my Franken boot that's one of my favorite.
Yeah,
it has that like row of spikes down the center.
Very specific about that.
Yeah, so this might be one of those. This might be, if this leak turns out to be real, this might be a generation of mercurial.
Okay, you're right. I see what you're saying.
That I'd be willing to try.
Says Air Zoom inside of the
heel
insert. But it's not necessarily looking like on the bottom. It doesn't. You can't see it.
Yeah, and again, this could be a takedown model too. We don't really know.
Yeah, but interesting. Yeah, it's a very interesting way to do the sole plate, though.
Yeah, I'm hoping that that's a thing.
It looks more old school, because I know that they did this like little triangular stud shape thing on the 15, and now it's like almost like it's like a chevron, and then kind of
Like this boot, the one that I'm looking at looks fast. That looks like a fast boot to me. Just the way the colors, the blues, the pinks, the whites. That's a good looking boot.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, once that comes out and we get more official leaks, we can.
Do you think that because those boots are so popular, do you think that like everything kind of gets out of the way of that boot? You think that's why like some releases, kind of like we're seeing, like it's like, okay, let's get this Future 7 out, let's get this Predator out, let's get this GX2 out, and then like just leave space for that like Merc to come out a little bit down 2024 because they kind of want to get out of the way of it?
Man, it's hard. I don't know, because I honestly I think that the GX's lifespan has thrown everything off for Nike, because Nike normally does 2 years.
Yeah.
And the Merc is almost at 2 years, so maybe they can plan that. But the GX just all of a sudden having a new after 1 year.
And that's kind of what I'm saying is like, did they almost get ahead of it? Like, did Nike think like, okay, if we release the Merc before we release the updated version of the GX, everybody's just like, if you're gonna buy a boot, you're gonna buy the new Mercurial, because that's a huge deal. The 16 is gonna be a huge deal.
Yeah, probably. Honestly, think about the when the 15 came out with the double-sided Air.
Mm-hmm.
You can't. I mean, even resellers don't have those boots, and if they do, they always have it in the weirdest size, like 12 and a half. Or like 4.5 men's.
Yep.
Something like that. But yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I think that the Mercurial is always that boot where no matter what, it always piques people's interest, so they're always willing to be like, "I'll give it a shot."
Yeah, right.
Like, if I don't like it, I'll, you can always sell a Mercurial, no problem.
Yeah.
So yeah, with that, I think we will conclude today's episode.
Yeah.
All right, Colby. I have one question for you, my friend.
Sure.
Since this is the new episode 6, who's your favorite number 6 of all time?
Oh, of all time. Oh man.
Yeah, see, I had to throw you off.
Dude.
Number 6 jersey.
Dude, I don't want to say.
I swear to God, if you say a Liverpool player, I'm gonna lose it.
Well, Thiago technically played for Barcelona and Bayern before he played for Liverpool. And ironically, like, he's one of the best players I've ever seen in training, but not on the pitch.
Yeah, dude, that dude's a freak. That's exactly, now that you say it, it's like a warm-up footage of him or training footage of him.
It's incredible.
See him on the field.
You don't actually see him doing what he's supposed to be doing, but we're still going to keep giving him money. So, but I'm going to go Thiago just because like it's the end of the podcast. I can't think of anybody.
Jesus, man. This is a re-recording, so I already told
I've had time.
You. I even told you better number 6 last time. The answer was Javi.
Yeah. Well, I knew that was going to be your answer. So
well, see, if you would have picked a different answer, I could have picked a different. I might have picked Pogba.
Oh,
I love Pogba, bro. He's such a like the streets will never forget kind of player.
Yeah.
Like did not live up to what he was supposed to, but hot damn.
He was good.
With France, that dude's insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, Xavi, arguably one of the 3 greatest midfielders of all time. That's my guy.
Yeah.
He's a terrible coach, though. So, all right. With that, guys, we will conclude today's episode of the podcast. I'm your host, Justin. You can find me at Texas Cleat Collector on Instagram. I like to post stories. I don't really make too many posts. I like to show off unreleased boots. Colby, where can the people find you at?
You can find me at Kicking It with Colbs on Instagram and on YouTube.
And if you guys don't mind, if you have any questions that you want to ask us, please leave it in the comments below. It really helps us out. It gives us topics. It gives us something interesting. And while you're leaving a comment, you can hit like, subscribe, and you can share the video if you want. And that's cool too. But please like and subscribe. That helps us out along with the comments. And with that, we will say goodnight. You guys have a good one.
All right. See you guys.